Hey everyone, it is Mr. Moreau here with a quick introduction and explanation of the data tables in our e-learning version of our Evolution in Action lab. Now yesterday I showed you some visual simulations of something that is very similar to what we are going to be talking about today, which is a version of a lab we would have done together in class where students are up and around acting as predators, capturing a very simple organism representing the prey. And in our visuals yesterday, you saw that these spot-like organisms occupied several different environments of varying colors. So today, that's what the lab is going to be very similar to. So anyway, the directions are on page 1 for you, very straightforward here. Whereas yesterday with our visual simulations, we called those organisms spots. Today, we're going to be calling them pom-poms. That's because in class they would have been these little cotton fuzzball things that look a lot like this. And then you guys would have been hunting for them using one of 3 structures, either a spoon, fork, or a knife. So go ahead and make sure you read the introduction here to make sure you understand how things would have gone. And this is sort of how we would have set the room up with you, the students, being represented by these blue stars around these black and white blankets with those little red, white, and black fuzzballs that we were calling pom-poms. So you guys would have been the predators, and these cotton balls would have been the prey organism, which we're calling pom-poms. So really just for our intro video, I just wanted to explain the data table that I have filled out for you. These numbers we would have gotten after some calculations in class. We would have done like a round of hunting and then some calculations in order to generate our own data, but I've just filled in some fake numbers for you. And I just want to go through this data table with you to make sure you understand where these numbers are coming from and how I do my math from one line to the next. So in our starting population, I would have thrown 50 of these black pom-poms in the snowy environment, which is represented, which is just like a white blanket, and then 50 black pom-poms on the black blanket, 50 red pom-poms on the white blanket, 50 red pom-poms on the dark blanket, and that is it for now. We have no white pom-poms thus far. We're saving that as a mutation that will occur later. Well, let's say that I give you guys maybe 60 seconds to gather, which is to say like eat or capture as many of these pom-poms as you possibly can in 60 seconds. So this is showing us that 30 black pom-poms were eaten in the white blanket, 10 black pom-poms were eaten off the black blanket, 36 red pom-poms were eaten off of the white blanket, and 34 red pom-poms were eaten off of the black blanket. That leaves 20 surviving black pom-poms on the white blanket, 40 black pom-poms here, 14 reds, and 16 reds in their respective colors. You can see that each of those columns is also designated by what color the blanket is. That's this row right here. Okay, that means that as a grand total of every single black pom-pom that is surviving in either the white or black area, that's a grand total of 60. For reds, we have a grand total of 30 surviving pom-poms. And at this point, I want to introduce a mutation. Now, ordinarily, mutations are individual events which affect, a certain number of offspring of a specific parent organism. That speaks to the randomness of mutations. In this activity, I do just want to speed things along a little bit, so I want to represent a mutation that is extremely common on this one round of reproduction. So in this pretend environment, I don't know, let's make believe that there's like a nuclear power plant or something that's released unprecedented levels of radiation, and suddenly in this generation, like 10% of all pom-poms in the next generation will have this similar mutation at the same time because they were exposed to a similar environmental factor. So that's why I'm saying mutation 10%. I'm calculating 10% of the population is going to have this new mutation, just so we can kind of get the ball rolling here. So that means that instead of 60 black surviving pom-poms, 6 of them would be white. So that means only 54, 60 minus 6, 54 will be black. And then 3 of them will be white instead, leaving 27 reds. So that's 9 white pom-poms that we will see in the following generation. Okay, so that means that I've got a certain number of pom-poms that is going to be present in the next generation of these varying colors. And I'm going to split them up evenly in the different color areas, because that shows that all of these newly born offspring are free to venture into any area of these blankets that they want to. They're not confined or constricted based on geography. Okay, so a newly born black pom-pom is just as likely to exist in the white blanket as it is in the black blanket. So that's why I have the number 54 split up here between 27 and 27. The number 27 I've split up 13 and 14. And I'm sorry, I'm just noticing a typo I made. Let's just ignore it for now. 9 is split up. I should have had different numbers here. It's not going to be a big deal for us here. So let's just say 9, which kind of should have been 12, whatever I messed up there, can be split up between 6 and 6. So that means that the next generation, the total population of black pom-poms would be the surviving individuals, which is this 20 plus this 27 for a grand total of 47. For the next generation of black pom-poms would be this 40 plus this 27 for a grand total of 67. So for the red pom-poms, we have 14 and 13, totals 27. And then for the red pom-poms, we have 16 and 14, totals 30. And we didn't have any white pom-poms that existed in the previous generation. That's why we have 6 and 6 there. If we do another round of hunting, we can then see how many of each color pom-pom were eaten in its respective area, and that allows us to calculate how many survivors we have left. Pool those together, and that is going to show us how many individuals will be born into the next generation. Split them up evenly between the black and white environments, and then we have our starting population for the next generation. Again, we got, let's say, 45 black pom-poms in the white area because we did 10 survivors plus 35 born is 45. And then over here we had 20, we had 5 survivors plus 4 born is a total of 9. 3 and 4 gets us 7, 5 and 4 gets us 9, 2 and 3 gets us 5. And then we can figure out how many were eaten in each area, how many survivors we have in each area, pool them together to figure out how many individuals will be born into the next generation, split them up into their different color areas, and then figure out the final population we have. So that's what would be the starting numbers for the final, or in this case, the 4th generation. Remember that while all that is happening, we also have a predator population that has some unique phenotypes. Let's say we start with a diverse population of 6 of each predator, and we can see that after the first round of hunting, the bottom 6 predators, they did not survive because they starved. So 2 forks did not eat enough to survive. All of the spoons survived, but 4 of the knives did not eat enough to survive. Imagine how difficult it would be to pick up one of those little cotton fuzzballs with a plastic knife. A spoon seems like it would be the most beneficial for survival, and then a fork is decent. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. So if we have those individuals that have starved, we also have to calculate how many would be born, and as the directions say, the top 6 predators, those are the ones that are going to reproduce. So if there's 18 hunters at the beginning, the 6 best hunters, I would have just sort of replicated those and introduced that many more of those individuals in the following generation. So let's say the top 6 predators included 2 forks and 4 spoons. That's why we have 2 forks added to the next generation, 4 spoons added to the next generation, and none of the knives made it into the top 6. So we're going to have no knife babies added to the next generation. So to figure out our starting population in the next generation for predators, I would say we started with 6. We lost 2. That gives us 4. but we're going to add 2 more. So these surviving 4 plus 2 gets me 6 to start the next generation. For spoons, we started with 6. Nobody died. So we have 6 survivors plus 4 new babies. That's 10 total in the next generation. For the knives, we started with 6. We lost 4 of them, leaving 2. No new knives will be born into the next generation, which is why we have 2. And I think from there we can see how the predator population is going to change over time. But I only wanted to show you how the math is going to work out with our data table, so these numbers made a little more sense to you. But you are going to be able to use now the numbers in this data table to finish off your graphing and your post-lab questions. Thank you very much.